let's talk about something that either makes you feel really empowered or completely stuck. Money. You could have the best plan, a picture perfect offer if you're running a business, or hustle harder than anyone you know. But if deep down to the core, you're the kind of person who doesn't believe they deserve to be wealthy, it doesn't matter. Here's a nugget of truth for you. You don't get paid more when you do more. You get paid more when you become someone who believes they are worth more. In today's episode of the Unleash Your Ambition podcast, I am joined by Scarlett Stanhope. She has mastered the art of combining money management with deep inner work, and she's here to help you rewrite your money story. We're diving into the number one key to breaking through financial blocks, the identity beliefs that keep you playing small, and what to do if imagining yourself as wealthy feels impossible to do. If you've ever said, I'm doing everything right, but the money isn't showing up, this conversation is going to flip the switch for you. All right, grab your pen, your paper, and your favorite drink and get the most out of this episode. Scarlett, thank you so much for being here on the Unleash Your Ambition podcast. Can you please share who you are, what you do, and how you help people?
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me today, Stacie. I am an abundance coach and I help entrepreneurs, coaches, healers change their relationship with money so that they can live the lives that they want to live without money holding them back.
Money is a topic, financial abundance. Money, period, is just intertwined with everything we do in our lives. And I know a lot of people have misconceptions around money. A lot of people don't know how to bring more financial abundance into their lives. Scarlett, I know a lot of people think success is all about the strategies and tactics because that's what's taught either in a households or in a not a financial, educational environment. Why do you believe it really starts with how we see ourselves, how we transform seeing ourselves?
Yeah, right. Because at the core, when you do the deep internal work, one of the first things that you're doing is you're learning how to be the one that is in control of your life, right? Because when you spend your money, what you're doing is you're taking action in your life. I believe there's three actions. There's how we spend our time, our energy, and our money. And any time you're spending your time, your energy, your money, you are manifesting, you're creating your life, you're getting a result from that action that you're taking. And for so many of us, we're taking the money action unconsciously. So we're just running on autopilot, on default. And what can happen is it can feel like our money is in control of us. And that money is the thing that's controlling our lives and telling us what we can't do, telling us what we can do, forcing us to do things we don't want to do for the sake of money. But when you do the internal work, what you discover is really how you are not only the one in control of your money, but how you are also the one in control of your life every single day because of the actions that you're taking. And below those actions, the things that are motivating and driving those actions that you're taking are your beliefs about yourself, the beliefs that you have about the world, and all of that filters up to how you are spending your money and the results that you're getting. And so, what this can look like really tangibly is I've worked with clients who have very little money coming in, and I've worked with clients who have actually lots of money coming in from solid 9 to 5 jobs. And all of them feel like they don't have enough. They're barely getting by and they're living paycheck to paycheck. So it's not about the amount of money that you have, it's about your relationship to that money. Because if you have underlying beliefs rooted in fear, scarcity, lack, if you have a story that money is bad and you are receiving more money. Maybe you get a large check in the mail. That subconscious default part of you is going to spend that money because, oh, money's bad and I can't hold on to it, or maybe I'm not deserving of it. And so you're going to get rid of it quickly. So even if the amount of money changes, the underlying pattern has not changed. And therefore, the results that you're getting are also not going to change.
Mhm. Fascinating, fascinating stuff. So you brought up about, you know, our beliefs around money. Like, what are some of the biggest identity blocks or beliefs you see holding people back from financial success?
The core beliefs that I often see with my clients are what I call the three scarcity seeds. The first scarcity seed is not enoughness. And this is the idea that there is a finite amount, right? And this could show up in the simplest form of, maybe you have a big family and not everybody got to eat, right? If you were the youngest, then you got less on your plate, right? That's one example. Or maybe there's not enough money in the family growing up to buy that nice pair of jeans that everybody else in school has that makes you look really cool, right? It can show up in a variety of ways in childhood, but either way, it's instilling this belief of not enoughness. There's not enough time. There's not enough money. There's not enough energy. I'm tired, right? That not enoughness. The other one is worthiness. And this turns it inside to I am not enough. I am not good enough. I'm not worthy. I'm not deserving of receiving, of having, right? I'm not worthy of this gift. Or unless I work really, really, really hard for this money, I'm not deserving of it. So, not enoughness, worthiness. And then the third common one that I see is starving artist syndrome.
Mm.
And to me, the way that I define starving artist syndrome is the fundamental belief that either we can live fulfilling lives and do what we enjoy, but we're going to be broke, or we can have a career that we hate and be unfulfilled, but at least have lots of money. And that those two things are mutually exclusive, that we can't have both fulfillment and financial stability. But that's not true. In fact, none of these scarcity seeds are true. They're just the underlying common misconceptions that people have about money that can have a huge impact on your current financial situation and the way that you're living your life.
Mm. Thank you for sharing that. Really appreciate that. And I hopefully for you who's watching or listening, you're able to pinpoint your own blocks out of those three. So Scarlett, like once somebody identifies them, like how can they start letting go of these blocks or beliefs?
Yeah, so the very first thing is simply beginning to notice them because once you develop awareness around these beliefs and you start to see how they are showing up in your day-to-day life, that will already help you start to release the pattern because you can see the ways that these are no longer serving you.
Mm.
Because the thing is that these beliefs, these scarcity seeds, are here for a reason, right? These beliefs were instilled, and as a result, you respond to them in ways to protect yourself, right? So maybe you're throwing money away from you because you don't think you're worthy of it because of worthiness, but that response, even though it might feel harmful, is actually a self-defense response. Right? You're like, I don't want to be a bad person. I want to be a good person. So I'm going to push this away, right, in order to protect myself from this thing. So it's there for a reason. You are doing the things that you're doing in order to protect yourself. So instead of beating yourself up and thinking like, oh, why do I have this not enoughness? Why do I have this starving artist syndrome? Recognizing that it's here for a reason. It's actually been intended to serve you and help your survival. And then once you start to see it, then you can start to release the grip of it, because then you'll be able to see clearly the ways in which it is no longer serving you, and that'll allow your survival mechanism to start to let go and begin to introduce a new pattern rooted in new beliefs. And I invite you to explore what those new beliefs can be and find the evidence of these new beliefs, right? If you're instilling the belief, well, of course I'm worthy, it's not enough to just say that in the mirror every day. You have to clear the unworthiness and also create evidence to why the worthiness is true. That way you can really instill the new abundance-based beliefs.
Hmm. Thank you for sharing that. So I know that there are going to be some people that are watching and listening, and they feel stuck. They can't even imagine themselves as the person who has financial abundance, whatever that number is, whatever their life looks like, because I know it looks different for every single one of us. Like, Scarlett, where's the best place for them to start shifting their identity? I know you've given some great pointers, but this is specifically for the person who is just like, they're not, they're like, I can't see it. I can't see it. I've been in this cycle for months, years, maybe decades. Like, how how do you help them start shifting their identity? I know you said, of course, they need to be aware of the thoughts that they're having, the beliefs that they have. But is there anything extra that someone who just can't see themselves, and I'm not saying they're not receptive, but they just can't see it?
Mhm. Yeah, and I understand if you've been in this pattern and living this way for a long time, that it might feel impossible. But one of the most important things that you can do is start to open yourself up to the possibility, even if it feels impossible. Because what happens is our brain is wired to find what we believe, right? So if we are believing it's not possible, I'm going to be stuck in financial lack for the rest of my life, and that's just the way the world is, then as you live your life, you're only going to see the evidence that that is true. So, in order to believe a new belief and even open up the possibility of believing a new belief, you have to start to look for the evidence. You have to start to think it, and then you will find it, even if you don't believe it to be true yet. And the seed that I will plant for you to help you start to do that is this. And that is, there is somebody in the world who has faced every single challenge you've faced and has overcome it and has broken free from it and has found their way to abundance. And it doesn't mean that there's something innately wrong with you if you haven't done it yet, right? Don't take it that way. The way that I want you to take it is that you are 100% capable of overcoming whatever challenges you're currently facing, of changing whatever your current situation is, and stepping into your next level of abundance, because there are other people in the world who were just as smart as you, just as qualified as you, had even more disadvantages than you, and they were able to do it too. And you have 100% of the capability to do that once you begin to crack the door open to seeing how it's possible.
Thank you so much for sharing all of that. And yes, the possibilities are incredible. They're endless, they're limitless, and of course it takes work, which I think is why, like, the work that you do is so helpful. I think it's important for someone to have be a guide for people, especially if you've been in your own perspective for a while. You've had some money beliefs that you adopted as a child, all the way through adulthood. So I'm curious to know, like, and you can share, you know, your personal experiences or people that you work with or both, but can you share, like, what happens when someone truly aligns their identity with their financial goal or goals?
Yeah. Yeah, magic happens. One of the biggest things that I found is the core foundational relationship with money changes. So many of my clients that I've worked with, they come to me having a fear of their money, afraid to check their bank account, afraid to manage their money, not wanting to look at it, not wanting to see the situation. And once we do the deep internal work, they're ready to do that work. They're ready to look at their money and be in control of it. And then what happens as a result is they actually discover that managing their money is fun. And that's the biggest transformation that I see is they go from being afraid of looking at their money to being in control of their money and having fun with it because it's with your money that you get to create your reality. In fact, it's such a powerful tool of manifestation. So once you are in control of it and then you do know how to manage it, that's when you're able to use it to manifest whatever you want to manifest. So that's one key thing that I often see at the core foundational level. Another thing that I see is when you do the deep internal work, you're able to stay tapped into the energy of abundance and the identity of abundance, no matter what's happening with your bank account. So I've had clients that were in constant money stress all the time, whether their bank accounts were high or low, or they just felt they were like they're on this emotional roller coaster of feeling abundant and then feeling super stressed. And it was just exhausting having this constant money weight weighing them down and lingering in the back of their mind. But then after doing this deep internal work, what happens is you develop deep self trust, self love, and self confidence in your ability to be the creator of your reality, to be the one in control of your life. So even if your bank account gets low and you're feeling stressed about money, instead of reacting in a fear state and taking a bunch of crazy action and applying for 20 jobs and stressing out and calling somebody and asking to borrow money and spending days freaking out and wasting lots of mental and emotional energy. Instead, what happens is they respond in a grounded, solid, confident way, and they feel confident in themselves and their ability to maintain their abundance, their ability to take the next steps to figure it out, their ability to be in control, and they're able to ride through that and come back out the other side even more abundant than they were before. In fact, I had one client, she told me, she said, I have $10 in my account and I feel more abundant right now than I have ever felt in my life because I know how I'm going to come back from this. And I have a plan and I have a strategy and I know it's all working. And that's because of the deep inner self-confidence that comes from healing your relationship with money.
I love that so much. Yes, yeah, I love that. Thank you so much for all of this today. And I know that there's so much more when it comes to this topic, when it comes to our beliefs around money, how to create financial abundance, how we see ourselves, all of that. And I would love for you to share where people can connect with you outside of the podcast.
Absolutely. So you can connect with me on Instagram where I am very active. You can feel free to send me a message and let me know what were your biggest takeaways from this episode, or if you have additional questions you want to ask me, you can follow me at the Biz Hippie. Or another way that you can connect with me is I love to offer to my podcast listeners a free abundance activation session, which is a 30-minute deep dive session with me where we will uncover your current relationship with money, get clarity on your vision and where you want to go, and we'll discover and build a strategic path to help you get there and help you unlock your next level of abundance. So you can book your free abundance activation session with me on my website, thebizhippie.com/activate.
Wonderful. And for you who is watching or listening, look in the show notes, or if you're watching this on YouTube, look below in the description and connect with Scarlett. She has an abundance of resources and such knowledge that can help you move forward and uh, just make changes in your life when it comes to money and in your relationship with it, which I think is extremely important, especially in this world, especially with a lot of fear mongering. Like there is a way that you can navigate through this. I really appreciate you, Scarlett. And I would love for you to share final words of wisdom for that person who is in a place to where they are starting over from scratch. Maybe they moved to a new location, or maybe they ended a relationship and now, of course, their financial situation has completely changed and they're a little bit scared, but they want to have this new chapter start on the right foot. What would you have to say to them?
Yeah. Now is the perfect time to go in deeper to your money. I know that for so many of you, it can feel like the scariest thing. It can feel like the most uncomfortable thing. It doesn't sound like a fun use of your time. And I promise you that it is one of the most powerful ways that you can transform your life. And it is the deepest level of personal growth and development that you can work on. Because when you change your relationship with money, it impacts every single area of your life. So if you are starting fresh, if you are facing challenges, if you're wondering what the next step is, then money is the most powerful gift you can give to your future self because it is literally building the foundations for you to keep growing and keep stepping into your next level of abundance and building and creating your thriving and abundant life.